Hi everyone. I'm gonna wait a little bit more while making my tea. But I will be back very soon. We will be able to start. And don't worry, I have read everything. I have seen what you have written to me. Both of you, actually. And so it begins. Hi, good morning, good evening, whatever it is for you. Quill might not be able to join to us this time because they have a little bit of swap between the times. Because first it was supposed to be on Monday, it is Tuesday now, and then it was supposed to be on Tuesday. But then I said to Quill that we are gonna do it on Wednesday because I promised a stream with my friend. But then he got another plans for today. So I'm gonna read this today. There is a lot of swapping of when I can do this. And I am a little bit tired. Because I just came home from work. And yeah, we will see how well I can handle it. Let's see, is everything right? Can you hear me? Can you see me? I think everything should be fine. And actually, the film fiction site is working as well. So we are not in the wrong here. There was actually a little bit of time. For some days, film fiction was not available at all. We just saw, oh, 404, there is an arrow. But we can't do anything about that. Luckily, it's back. So, let me swap to this right here. Wait, why is it? Okay, I don't know why it is a little bit different, but hey, you can probably see this doesn't have the same kind of coloration for some reason. It's the same source, it's the same video source. I don't know why it's faded. But hey, we're gonna start. And Quill, you might be able to see this back in the video when it's gonna release. So that's fine. You will still hear everything. Are we ready for chapter 25 of Skydancer, the first flying unicorn, which is not even here. I'm actually curious, is Skydancer even in the battle? No, he isn't. I don't think he is, he was not mentioned. But yeah. Let's search a good music for this. Maybe. This one. if it's gonna play at all. Stop. For some reason it didn't start at all. He got hobbited. Maybe he didn't. But this is not the one I was searching for. This is more like Christmas song. It's so fun when you miss your song, you prepare a song and you can't find it. It's so stupid. And we have technical difficulties. In the Hobbit, Bilbo got caught out and missed the battle of the four armies. I don't think I watched that part. I didn't watch the Hobbit fully. I started watching it, but then I never finished it. I should at some point, by the way. I have no idea where it went. It's so stupid. Go full retro and watch 80s animation movie of The Hobbit. Wait, that was a 80s animated movie of it? I didn't even know of that. I actually didn't know of that. Right, we learn something new every time, right? Okay, I guess I will not find that song that I had. We will just use this, the bass one. If that's okay with you. It's actually really good. Well, I'm gonna search for that later. Thank you for the recommendation, actually. So let's start. We are here for 10 minutes and we didn't do anything yet. So we are here to read Skylanders of the First Flying Unicorn, and I'm not too awake at the moment, so we are just gonna start. Chapter 25, The Third Joker. Actually, let's lower this a little bit more. There we go. Yeah, playing Minecraft. Okay, let's start. When I thought about the problems we endured over the past 2 years to get this far, it was the last 2 days that was by far the easiest, and not only came after one of our most intense battles. It felt like a reward for our bravery, and for making the right choices along the way. It felt like we were empowered by something far greater than ourselves. The wheel of the stars, and perhaps by extensions, a piece of the universe, stretched down its divine hoof and gave us aid and respite in our hoof of need, in our hour of need. I have no idea why I had hoof there. I won't say the crystal carriage was fast. It was about double the speed we normally traveled every previous day, but the crystal carriage plowed through any obstacle in its way. It crawled over hills and rock slides with no problem. It drove through or over rivers of lava. On top of the defense of the crystal barrier, the crystal carriage also blocked out the external horrific screams from outside and the ghastly illusions the dark star conjured against us. For once, we had complete sanctuary. Luna did not need to defend our dreams either. The crystal carriage protected our minds and hearts too, while we slept inside the carriage. And speaking of sleeping, beds literally grew out of the wall. Usually, it was an oval-shaped crystal, but just like the foods, this carriage apparently had the power to manifest other kinds of objects and animal things. In my case, it created the most comfortable cloud I ever slept in, but for others, their bed was made of whatever was most ideal for them, if they bothered to ever use it. I have not slept that good in years, and maybe even ever. The air inside the carriage was also clean and crisp. Every breath we took filled us with more and more life. I even regained back much of my solar magic over those 2 days. The crystal carriage was like a portable paradise on wheels, which is actually a two-edged sword to begin with, because if you leave this carriage, the darkness will hit you even harder again, because you are not used to it at that point. It would be exhaustive to mention all the features the crystal carriage offered. I could mention the spas, the steam room, crystal benches, or chairs that massage us as we sat on them, the humming crystals that soothed our bodies, minds, spirits with tranquil chiming songs. But I think you get the point. Suffice it to say, it was really magical and really comfortable. But I didn't just look upon it as a reward for battle well fought before. I looked upon it. They've had enough time to get used to the darkness, at least to deal with it. It depends on how long they are gonna be in this carriage. But it's gonna be like when you have glasses and you go inside a well-lit room. It's to a hot room from the outside, from the cold. It's gonna feel really good, but then when you have to go outside again, it will hit you hard. And also your glasses will be foggy. Even if you get used to it. Even if you know that there's gonna be cold outside. They will still need a moment to adjust. Yep. I looked upon it as a hope of higher powers to prepare us for the next pivotal battle. Very few of us did any of this when with the hopes of a reward. I could possibly name a few exceptions, but I chose not to at this time. Primarily, we did all of this to protect what we already love, and in the hopes to protect what was good for every generation to follow, before and after us. This was why I could not completely relax. I knew what was coming next, but I was no longer afraid of it either. I knew it was likely to be a hard fight, and probably full of surprises, both good and bad, but I kept my mind and heart locked on the goal. I was filled with hope. The crystal carriage also made me connected to even higher powers. Powers out there that really cared for us. I felt appreciated, so it was much easier to return to flavor. We have all come together here to do whatever we could. So on what we draw, day and night, the crystal cage never ceased, and it was not slowed down by obstacles that really would have seriously impeded the rest of us. So we made it to our destination. What felt like all too soon, but at the same time, we felt ready and hyped to get this over with, so we could return the lives we all enjoyed. And for those of us who could remember, our lives were forever changed by the extraordinary and epic journey we shared together. This was a journey we made outwardly, a journey we made inwardly. We were all united in a bond of friendship, and those feelings would last in things like the crystal carriage, even if those who enchanted it disappeared. But at last, we made it. We had arrived at the heart of the Dark Star, as well as a trio of visitors ready to greet us. The trio? I know two of them, which is Karchak and Fluttershy, but what is the third? Is it gonna be the is it the doctor with them? I don't know. Karchak, also known as Double Dealer, also known as the Master, stepped his giant across cane into the earth and surrounded all the visitors that gathered before him as they exited the giant crystal carriage. His outfit had not changed, but Fluttershy's outfit changed drastically. She wore a gothic-looking dress which seemed to be made of black spider webs, which hung in loose tatters at the edges. Her mane was dyed black, and so too was the black of her eyelids and her lips. She also wore a collar on her neck, which had onyx gems shaped like a rose at the front. "Behold, my pet! Your friends have come to rescue you. Isn't that sweet?" the Master asked, with a devilish, sinful charm. Fluttershy gave a dark giggle, then said, "Oh, those fools don't know what they are doing, but you will show them, won't you, my love?" Fluttershy! Discord lamented behind them. "Oh, Discord!" It was the third one. He trapped himself inside a floating transparent spear, apparently made of glass, but was in fact far more endurant. He also looked very tired and drained of most of his color. Because of the bubble he was trapped in, it gave his voice a slight echo when he spoke. "Of course, my pet," Master agreed. "I will soon educate them all who their master really is." "Fluttershy, can you hear us?" Pinkie Pie called out desperately. "It's us, you know." She pulled out a loudspeaker out from nowhere. Then she shouted through it. Unfortunately, Karchak comes off a bit of neckbeard character. I see what you mean right there. "Your friends!" I don't have a microphone, and I'm not planning to use it. Her voice visibly boomed so loud, it caused a sonic boom, and made the whole town bend away from her for a second. He does have the hat, the fedora. This caused every creature to wince in tight pain because of the volume. There wasn't one exception to this, except Pinkie Pie herself. The last two words also echoed across the terrain and faded across the next 8 seconds. There wasn't exceptions, so even Fluttershy and Cardinal as well. "Well, it's difficult to hear you now that my ears are ringing." Fluttershy cried back in intense silence. "But of course you feel the need to shout your feelings all the time. How else are you supposed to maintain your annoying attitude? Do you want to know why you have to shout so loud? It's because you learned long ago that's the only way you will be heard. We are all trying to ignore your stupid antics. but you make it so damn difficult when you're shouting at us all the time. Fluttershy is really cool. At first, Shelby took Pinky aback, but then her mane reflected as she frowned in bewilderment. Fluttershy? Pinky cried, suddenly with tears glistening in her eyes. Fluttershy, what are you saying? Twilight asked in horrified astonishment. This isn't you. Well, la-di-da. Fluttershy spat back. It is Princess Sparkle that speaks. Behold, behold, the know-it-all bookworm who thinks she knows everything, so hang on her every word, little ponies. Her word is law. Don't you dare cross Princess Twilight, Sparkle, or she will punish you to Tartarus too. When Twilight recovered from her grasp, she then glared at the master in accusation. What have you done to our friend? I demand you change her back this instant. Twilight insisted firmly. Why? So you can banish him too? With our fancy rainbow powers? Fluttershy, oh, it was Fluttershy. Fluttershy asked in a mocking tone. Isn't that how we always deal with everything that annoys us so much? It's too bad we can't turn that power back on Pinkie Pie. Maybe then we would get some peace and quiet. Fluttershy? Pinkie veered into her own forward hooves. I can do voices now. I'm so bad. I hear myself. That is horrible. At this point, Twilight should not be surprised. The person has been altered. It happens almost every season. That's true. Release her! Twilight demanded, to cause Chuck with a hoof stomp. As you wish. The master said surprisingly easy. My pet. He half turned his head towards Fluttershy. You are free to go, as you wish. But I do not want to leave your side, my master. Fluttershy said to the master submissively. Madam, that's a problem, he said mockingly as he regarded the Princess Twilight. Any more requests, Your Majesty? Should I order her to your side anyway? Oh, but that wouldn't have been very nice of me, would it? She wants to stay by my side after all. We don't want to make her do anything she does not want to do, right? That would be quite immoral of us to try. She's only like this because you force her with your mind tricks, Twilight accused. Release her mind and give us back our friend. Oh, but this is your friend, the master countered with a narrow stare and a sly grin. What you see before you now has always been as a part of her. Actually, in the introduction of Starlight Glimmer, it showed how susceptible to suggestion Fluttershy is. That's true. This! He twisted his gentacles cane to point at Fluttershy to his side. Is a manifestation of her superego. This is the part of her that's always been suppressed by the battle of her overabundance of kindness. But no pony is that shy or kind with bottling up that true or larger self. I'm sure some of you noticed this temper of hers carried out occasionally. Yeah, but she doesn't have only this persona. She has a lot more. We know that. I certainly did. This girl lamented behind them with regret, but I had to force her to be that way. Just like you are doing now. Fluttershy would never give in to a dark side alone. I know, I tried to take her into once, but she was the only one of the elements of family that would not give up her faith in her friends. I had to cheat to get my way. Yep, that's true. Your tactics are irrelevant, the master said to Discord without looking back at him. Unless of course you implanted something within her that wasn't there to begin with. But that's not what you did, is it? No. Instead, you forcefully unleashed something that was already buried within her, like precious gemstones. And I think this Fluttershy is going to make the most suitable slave. The master tilted his head as he regarded the doctor. What do you think, Doctor? You have been so quiet. You have been quiet so far. What do you think of my new companion? You got yours and I got mine. Now we are all happy, aren't we? I accept my companions only if they are willing. The doctor returned. In exchange, they offer me true love, faith, and loyalty. What you have there is nothing but an empty puppet of your own creation. Do you enjoy talking to yourself? Because that's basically all you have achieved here. You're talking to your own imagination. This girl is right. She would never behave this way on her own. The doctor sighed as he touched his own chest. It's true that buried deep in each and every one of us is the capacity for light and darkness. What I have achieved with my friends is... Zip it. The master interrupted as he swiped the hoof across the air in front of him. It disgraced the hoof that did not hold his scale. I'm tired of your little spiel. We've been over this and over this. I'm sure by now that your numerous protege has filled you in on my dirty little secret identity. You mean about the fact that you are the master? The doctor asked in a tone of innocent curiosity. Yes! The master hissed in great, evil satisfaction. At last! I don't have to hold back with you, and the last horse has finally crossed the finish line. Speaking of horses, what do you think of this pony universe? Doctor asked the master brightly. Isn't it great? Oh! And you look so adorable as a talking horse. I don't care how evil your plans are anymore. I can't take you seriously when you look so adorable. It makes me want to just pinch you and pull on your little itty bitty cheek. The master rolled his eyes in annoyance. Spoken from the horse's own mouth. That's the person laughing from that comment. Many other ponies that were gathered there looked at each other in confusion and shrugged, seeing that made Featherwing think to himself. Haha, rookies. Actually, the master waved his cane at the doctor considerably more normal expression. I do have to talk to you later about that one. I have other concerns for the moment, but in regards to this repulsive universe, I do need to vent out some frustration to an ear that actually understands me, so consider this a scheduled appointment for you, Doctor. Doctor saluted to the master. Done and done. Now, how about we talk about the fact that we are the last two Time Lords in the universe again? Or have you met any others besides us? I'm really curious on that point. The master shook his head, a little somberly. And for a very brief moment it looked like he and the doctor had a true rapport between them. No, I have not encountered another of our kind. Truthfully, I was hoping you had. After all, you are the one always swinging around in the universe in your thoughts. I really hate being stuck with you as the last of my kind. You don't know how many times I have said it to myself. I would only befriend you if you were the last Time Lord in existence, but now it actually has come to that. Curse my fate and curse you! Before you get into your letter, you don't have to conquer the universe to enjoy speech. Just let me cut off there right now and save you the thought. I would no more join you in that capacity that you would join me in my efforts to conquer this universe. It's really too bad too. And you and I would be so good at it. We are time lost, Doctor. Do you know what this means? The fate of our race is built right into the name. We were meant to rule, but instead you squander all your years away floating around and playing with pathetic, pitiable little meaningless mortals. How you make me sick! The monster released a heavy sigh and calmed down in the process. But the truth is, the offer to join you in exploring the stars actually is quite tempting, especially given our unusual circumstances. Why I would have never considered this before, the truth is, you are the last that comes closest to understanding me. That's how I feel. The doctor cried out with hope. Master looked back at the doctor. But I would only join you on one condition. You and I should explore the universe with the intent to conquer it. It is our destiny and... Master cut himself off when he saw the doctor's look of regret. The master resumed, speaking in frustration. There! That's the look! That is the look! The same one you keep giving me over and over again while I give you this little spear. We sound like an old married couple at this point, Doctor, and frankly, it's growing embarrassing. You will never change and I will never change. We should both learn to swallow our pride and move on from this. Despite both of us being the last of our kind, we will never be compatible together. The master looked down a little sadly. It's too bad. A part of me really does want to be your friend, just like all those years ago when we were still children. I will never stop wanting that, but I can only continue our relation together in my terms. I need to be myself, Doctor. I feel that way every bit as much as you do. If we stay together, we would only end up hurting each other with painful reminders of empty promises and broken dreams. Well, eternity is a long time to change, the doctor put forward. Every new phase we get is another chance for a fresh start, but we don't even need to hold out that long. I will continue to live in that hope that we can live happily together. You may choose to abandon hope, but I won't. And that's your prerogative. What is that word? I have to search for that. That's a new word. The word of the day, isn't it? Oh, I didn't expect that. What that means? Okay. Fine, the doctor waved a hoof across the air. So we are not getting along very well right now. I still live in the hope that will change someday, but for now, we are dealing with our own problems here. I get the fact that you like to conquer, but it's not your style to want to be conquered. That's exactly what you are doing right now by submitting yourself to the Darkstar. Why now? After all this time, why submit yourself to anyone or anything? What could possibly make it worth it? First of all, it's a partnership. The master explained. I have not submitted to anything or anyone. I will punish you later for the assumption. The Darkstar is tremendous power, the master said with a brief gesture behind him and determined his utterly black sphere. But I had a very formidable mind. By itself, the Darkstar is wide anymore, but working through another agent, it gains sentience, and who better than my mind? Second of all, I established this partnership in pursuit of ultimate power, like the power to bend all of time and space to my will. I suppose you have noticed by now that this god isn't as colorful as he used to be, nor did he break himself out of that bubble back there, when he would normally have all the motivation to do so. Yes, I have noticed, that assured. Truthfully, I hope you wouldn't. Uh-oh, you don't mean... Twilight began fearfully. The master gave a sinister grin as he explained. The Darkstar caught this god in a perpetual stalemate when it copied its power, but that was before the Darkstar started working with my vast intellect. Using the power of the Dark Star and the magic draining potential of this little gem here, I managed to get the help of the Dark Star and this little game with Discord in our favor. After I drained Shadow Discord, using this little gem here. With the Dark Star cooperation, of course, Discord himself passed shortly after with no problem at all. Everything has proceeded according to my masterfully calculated design. Discord's mighty reality-bending powers pales in comparison to a true master of fate. If the demonstration is in order, I think the master decided. How about we rip out all them hearts and eat it right in front of them, master? Fluttershy suggested, hopefully. Wow, that's dark. Sweetfire said with a sad expression. I can't believe that's really Fluttershy. It is not Fluttershy. Rainbow Dash corrected her in anger. No, my pet. If we killed them, then who would we have left to rule over? Exactly my point. The master would not let the Dark Star win. Besides, the thought of actually consuming hearts is a little rewarding. The master informed the same. I already have 2 hearts. There is no need to add it to it unnecessarily. I see your point. Fluttershy conceded. Then how about we make them to bow to you, master? Now there is a good idea. The master agreed and lifted up the black crystal. As he put it down a bit, he cried out, "Bow to your master." The master used the power restore from both Discord and the Shadow Discord to greatly enhance the gravity of the entire area around them. Almost instantly, many of the creatures around me fell to their knees, unable to oppose it. The crushing gravity that was brought down upon us was too much to bear for many of us, myself included. The more strong and stubborn of us held their ground for a moment. Rodder managed to stay on his hooves. So did Rockhoof, your mother, and all the ponies native to this timeline, except for Shayla. Since they fell to their knees a moment later, I could only assume he enhanced gravity even further for them alone. But your mother crawled back up on their hooves a second time, as her body flared with magical energy flowing from her veins. This caused the master to sigh in annoyance. Then he made most of your mother's magic suddenly vanish. She was instantly crushed to the ground after that. She still continued to struggle, but she had not succeeded to stand back up again by being forced down to the second time. There you go. Now, doesn't that feel better? The master asked to enter our assembled group. Doesn't that feel more prepared to bow in respect to your betters? You will learn to have better lives as soon as you learn to submit willingly. I can be cruel, master, or I can be kind. The choice is up to you. We will never submit to you. Rainbow Dash cried out in grunt effort and pain. You may have us down for the moment, but we will get back up on our hooves. Star Wars promised, or claws, he amended as he glanced at Amber for a brief moment. Benevolent ponies like us will never submit to a monster like you, suddenly left swore. We will always fight with every ounce of our strength. The moment we give in to our darkest desires and soar into the darkness, that is when true death consumes us all. Talk. That's all little pets can do. Pests can do. Fluttershy taunted. If you really have the power to get up, you would have already done so. My master has all the power now because he is meant to rule. Fluttershy, this isn't you. Twilight called out. Remember who you are. Remember us, your friends. You are an element of harmony, so your spirit can never be crushed by a force of evil. No matter what he has done to you, you are still you. I know the darkness is inside of you. It exists in us all, but that means goodness and light exist within you as well. Be assertive and take charge of your destiny. He's not your master, Fluttershy. You are. Fluttershy replied a little more softly. I know, Twilight, but you are wrong about one thing. I am not an element of harmony. Fluttershy agreed back. That honor belongs to another. The real Fluttershy. But you are the real Fluttershy, Twilight cried out desperately. No, I'm not! Fluttershy insisted. I'll prove it to you. But can a pony really do this? She reached to her side and hit out the black crystal from the master's grasp. What the? With a kind pony, okay. With her grip on it, Fluttershy threw the black crystal down, where it shattered with suspicious ease. Almost as if it were actually made of glass rather than crystal. After it shattered, the solar magic that was contained in it slowly started to leak back to the Feather Wind and Discord. This had not undone what the master had already created, however. Intense gravity continued to crash down on all of our allies' friends. Why you? The master tried to whack Fluttershy with his cane, but she flew back out of his reach. What a sneaky Fluttershy. She saw through master way before the doctor and way before Quill. I have a feeling about that. Oh, did smashing your pretty little stone hurt your itty bitty little feelings? Fluttershy taunted, like talking down to a little baby. Then she said, well, ha ha ha. With each ha sound she made, she shook her hip. Left, the right, the left again. I'm glad your feelings are hurt. You made me this way, my master. She said in a mocking tone, with courtesy, while still flying in midair. Isn't being evil so much fun? You will pay for daring to cross me. Master growled harshly. I wasn't stupid. I did not contain all the energy in the stone. Now you bow to your master. He raised the hoof up, then brought it down. Fluttershy yelped, startled, and she was forcefully dragged down and crushed to the ground. As she continued to be pressed hard on the ground, she started to yap in pain. Aren't you overlooking something? Doctor called out in desperation. Not now, Doctor! I'm a little busy killing your friend here. Master said in intense anger and concentration. After I kill her, there will be no way to use the elements of harmony against me or the Dark Star. That's the weakness in your little trump card here. I have 6 separate targets. I can aim it. And I have to take down one of you to permanently disable your greatest asset. Isn't friendship magical? But you are really overlooking something important. You might want to let up and take a look. Doctor progressed. The master sighed in annoyance, then addressed the doctor as he roared. What? Well, he said that and turned to look at the doctor. Fluttershy was still being crushed, but not as hard. Meanwhile, overwhelming weight continued to press down upon the others. During that time, the leaking magic from the shattered black crystal continued to rust up Feather Wind and escort magic with each passing second. In fact, his Feather Wind recovered most of his former magical strength before this moment. He was actually being magically augmented past any of his previous limits, then continued to creep that extra sand from then on. Haven't you noticed anyone missing from this group? Doctor asked, to start time and to make a point. I cannot believe that I was actually right, if this is what it is. It sounds like Pharynx was not dead after all. Do you mean that? I called it that Fluttershy is not Fluttershy. Still annoyed, but also a bit curious. The master scanned across the group carefully. He almost said no, but eventually noticed a missing character here. Then he asked the doctor. Wasn't there 2 changelings among you earlier? Where's the other one? The cooler one? Where's Fangs? Congratulations, you spotted the missing companion! You get a gold star! Doctor cheered. Master shrugged. Yes, so what? Fangs is a changeling. He could be any one of you or even an object found on your person. It's also possible he was killed in a battle area. Master narrowed his eye at the doctor. What are you getting at? Then the master artist, to his surprise, Turks morphed into Fangs. But he calmed down a moment later. That proves nothing. Changelings can also morph into each other. In fact, you just proved that right now. But this form might be the disguise as well. It's tricky to keep track of them, isn't it? After that, you never know where they might be hiding. There could even be one right in front of you. To the master's far greater surprise, Fluttershy morphed away into a form too tiny to spot. Since he got lost sight of his target, he could no longer oppress her. Wait! The master blinked, then a bit stunned and confused. So... if Turks was actually Fangs, then Fluttershy was actually Turks? Now that I didn't see. You get another gold star! The doctor cheered. Man, you're on the road right now! It was quite irritating to imitate my brother, bleh! Fangs announced in disgust, but there was no way that I was going to pass over as convincing Fluttershy, so I left it up to my fancy brother while took, shall we say, a somewhat more masculine route in this case. Must have faced the group in confusion. In that case, where's the real Fluttershy? Safe in my house, of course! Haha! This could announce cheerfully before popping himself out of his bubble. Then he snapped the lion paw, and gravity returned to normal for all of his friends. I wasn't about to let you continue to mess with the head of my little Pegasus friend. After the doctor tipped me off to your little scheme, I whisked her away to my home, where she still thinks we are having a nice tea party along with one of my many-dimensional clones. Oh, how lovely was our devious little scheme! Dr. S with a very trollish grin, and both his claw and his paws tapping against each other near this fate. And in the meantime, the doctor said as he crawled back up to his hooves, along with every other creature around him. I convinced Turks to replace Fluttershy, then consult him in what you would expect from him. Meanwhile, Fangs replaced his brother to hide the fact that Turks was missing. I still think we could have just as easily claimed that it was my brother that went missing instead of me. Fangs said in irritation. Another creature was around me, to replace me. Since one of us would be missing anyway, why did I have to impersonate my brother? Because he would be less intimidated by your brother's presence. The doctor explained to Fangs. No offense to him or his performance, but the master knows that you would be on your guard more. That, in turn, would put him on guard more. I still don't like it. Fangs groaned irritably. How long have you known? The master asked the doctor in bewilderment. Huh, longer than you might expect. The doctor said to the master, then gave Featherwind a sly wink. I told you I had a brilliant plan in motion. Even your loss of faith in me was all a part of my plan. If I could convince even you that I was a fool, the next star would believe the same. And so would the master. Then, you always knew that I was a master? The master realized. Correct. Doctor confirmed. In fact, I have to say, this wasn't your best performance. You have done better than this in the past. You are slipping in the pony universe, my friend, but I can hardly blame you for this. For that, when we are both so decided by all those adorable little ponies. Then, you also pretended that the master messed with your head? I haven't realized. You were consciously aware of your full rhythm tapping, and you relied upon my knowledge to identify it, since you knew I found the secret library? Wait, you did what? The master asked in a surprised, offended tone towards the doctor. Correct again! Now you get the gold star! The doctor proudly bragged to Padawan. The master isn't the only master of deception. I have had practice too. To fool your enemies, you must also be willing to fool your friends sometimes, especially in this case. If any of you have been aware of my true intentions and goals, then he would have easily snatched from you, and so would the Dark Star. I had to give them that much credit. At least, I had to pretend to be dumb, so they would actually be dumb. The master fumed. I hate you, Doctor! Die! He left it off the roof to unleash some of the powers he drained from both Discord earlier. But his roof seized up as Discord popped in front of him and held up his own limbs as well. That action suspended them both in a mutual statement. Unleash the stars! Now! Discord cried out. That was the signal of the third Joker. That was the signal the third Joker was waiting for. Well, I guess we are releasing the Joker. The stars? That's definitely not the song for this. Padawan posed his story because he knew he could proceed no further, not without crossing Corata. What? What happened next? Starbase cried out anxiously. I can't tell you that, Padawan announced. Why? Starbase asked in confusion and objection. Because it is not up to me to decide, he said, and gave his daughter a meaningful look. I told you already, I would not tell you about your future. Starbase looked shocked. Only you can tell me that. Next part of the story is up to you, Starbase. You continue the story. This time, I am your audience. You mean I was there back then, that whole time? Starbase asked in astonishment. You tell me. Padawan returned. Were you? Starbase's eyes gazed forward in blank shock for several minutes. Her father waited patiently for her to absorb this, then decide what had already happened for him. So I was there the whole time. Starbase realized numbly. That's why you can't proceed. That's why you won't tell me what happens next. If my future self decided the outcome of the next action, and you refuse to tell me what she did, then your only choice is to either stop right here permanently, or wait for me to finish this section, or skip over my actions entirely. But I'm guessing I played the role too critical to skip at this point. That makes some sense. Padawan partially agreed. Starbase closed her eyes. So, I was there that whole time. Everything my father is telling me now, my future self will personally witness. Because of what he told me. What would I most likely decide later on? Starbase continued to think on it for a long period of silence before she spoke. Based on everything that you told me and what you told me about the doctor, I don't think he would want to invite me as a companion when when I'm still a fool. He was also a factor in the degree of danger we are likely to face. It sounded like he knew that his old frenemy, the Master, was going to be involved all along. In fact, the Doctor really did invite the Master to this mission, while simultaneously allowing the Master to think that it was the Master who planted the idea into the Doctor's head. I'm guessing their relationship is often complicated like that. She glanced at her father. For all his signs, she was on the right track, but she just continued to stare at her kindly, but otherwise blankly. He was being careful not to dip his hoof in this affair. He didn't want his daughter to decide her own fate without any interference from him. So, Starbase went on. Just as strong that I was only invited when I grew up into an adult male. At that age, I would be physically more endurant, but also more knowledgeable, and I still had years to prepare for my journey. Thanks to my father's heads up, I was actually prepared for this journey on multiple fronts, or at least as much as I could be at the time. I worked out a lot with my mother. I practiced magic with my father. I listened to more stories of their adventures together in the ancient past and the 30s. They told me this because they knew that someday it would be important. They knew that information would save my life one day, and they also knew that it would help me save the world. But not just on this one occasion. I think she had the real crystal with her. Plot twist, it turns out I was not a time clone all along. Somehow the Doctor had me to pretend to be, as it was a spell or technique I had learned earlier. Something that helped me not to sleep or eat or not get exhausted like the other time clones. But I was in fact there for real. I probably had been traveling with the Doctor for years before this point. I suspect he was testing me to make sure I was ready for the most dangerous mission, but also the most fulfilling. I will tell him what I'm telling you now. I was born ready. I was literally born for this purpose, because my parents knew about me and my destiny before I was even born, and they did their best to prepare me for it. The journey that my parents had with him also taught them why it is important to pass on the torch to the next generation. And so, here I am. So, I was actually there in the past, for real. Despite my ability to hide that fact somehow, I was real mortal peril, all along with you, Father. But that also meant I got to keep the memories of this journey when I was done with it. Because of the stories you told me as a young fool, I knew that this would eventually work out. I knew how this particular story would end. At least my future self does. So she also knew there was nothing really to worry about. She knew she would come home safely, along with the rest of her friends. Besides, how many times do fools get to see their own parents marry each other before the fool even born? I couldn't miss out on this. No Pinkie Pie, or Applejacks, delicious cakes, or pies, which my father said years ago were legendary. But since my father said years ago that he would skip over every part of the story that I was specially involved with, then that was the reason I really decided to lay low. I was there all along, pretending to be one of the Wonderbots or Religion, or Mighty Ham, or Princess's Guards, or just another pony not associated with any organization, but was still there all along. I kept my head low and did not do anything important, because if I did, then that would be part of the story I knew my father would skip. To minimize the parts that I got skipped, in order to maximize the ones I heard about what would happen, I kept my head down and deliberately had not done anything important until that moment. Then Discord wrestled with the monster, with the last of Discord's soul and chaos powers. If Discord had not been holding the master back, the master could have turned us all into Swiss cheese in one move. So Discord had to hold him in check that also had Discord in check. Both were frozen, waiting for something to happen, to end this stalemate. Then, all of a sudden, Discord yells out, Unleash the stars now! It turned out, I've been in cahoots with Discord for quite a while. I heard this story from my father years ago, after all, and I probably also read the book several times over that Discord had summoned. I knew it backwards and forwards by that point, so Discord knew that I knew what was going to happen, because of what I'm saying right now. What I'm saying right now is being written in that book, even as I speak. And since Discord had the book as well, he knew we had equal knowledge, so he did not hold back his pranks. He did not hold back his pranks and secrets as much to me. Actually, it had pleased him to have a partner in crime. In fact, all of this was just another critical layer of his carefully designed strategy. Not only had he created the book for kicks, he also did it because he knew it was necessary for me to fulfill my destiny in order to inspire me to help him to save the world and the friends he had so dear. Because we were working together on this grand master plan, we also decided to come up with code sentence that would be the signal I was waiting for before I finally acted in a meaningful way in this story. And then I did what both of us knew I was meant to do. Because you closed the story at this point, I don't know how it happened, but somehow the Red Crystal survived this adventure. Maybe the time clone version of Sombra created it. Maybe Dr. went back in the time to rescue it and replace it with a fake. Or maybe it really was destroyed, but Discord snapped his claws and it was instantly repaired. I'm going to assume my grandfather and your father couldn't restore an item that powerful with restoration magic. Restoring a burnt score was one thing, but this went, and this magic. But this was and is a magical artifact we are talking about. It was probably beyond his ability to repair, so some other strategy was necessary to repair this thing. Whatever the case may be, it was done. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. Starbase did precisely that. So the Red Crystal survives somehow, and eventually got passed on to me. I had used it for years by that point. I knew how to tap into its power, and I paid my great grandfather Crystal Sage a visit from time to time. He may have grown more detached from the physical world, but we still talk from time to time. He knows that I love him, and he knows that I know he loves me. He probably talked to each other less and less over the years, but we still kept in touch on occasion. One thing I know I had on me was the Red Crystal, albeit the future version of it. The one you have been telling me about all along. It's even ahead of the timeline of the one staring me in the face right now. I had it, but I hid it and did not use it. If I used it, then the master would know that I had it. But since I did not use it this whole time, he's completely unprepared to face me with it. Somehow he knew I was the third Joker. I don't know how, but he seemed to indicate knowledge in the record. Just because he knew that, however, did not mean he also knew how, or when I would strike. When this ghost called out the signal, I finally pulled out the Red Crystal after hiding it for years. With it, I conjured the Red Crystal Javelin, and I simply touched it. I projected my energy out of my hoof, and launched the Crystal Javelin at high speeds, just like you saw me do with those rocks earlier. By that point, I gained much more practice. I probably could have launched an entire border if I wanted to, just with a simple touch. I come to think of it, I wonder if Maud Pie knows this trick as well. She learned how to project her energy into rocks to launch them at high speed, fast and far, hard enough to create a mushroom cloud when the rock family landed. Rock family, yeah. When the rock finally landed, but she had not done the same to her as brother because she could not use his technique with precision. She could have launched the rock if she wanted to, but she would have launched it too far, and it would likely damage the item her family considered a precious family relic. So she tried to push it with her own normal strength, and it didn't work out for her, even with her whole immediate family trying to help. By the way, that reminds me, did they ever manage to get that border out of the quarry? First of all, yes. Father Wind answered. I did ask Maud about the ending of the story eventually, and she told me in her colorful little way. You will see what I mean when you get there. Secondly, I remind you, it isn't wise to try applying logic to the periphery. They apply it far too often to make the effort worth it. Sometimes I think they understand it from Discord or some other similar being, but I digress. Analyze Mood Pie or any of the Pie family if you want. But I warn you, that is a fool's errand. Starbase looked forward again, with a shrug, and she said, well, anyway, I launched that crystal javelin at high speed, and plunged into one of the master's two hearts before any other creature had the chance to respond, and that's pretty much it. A brief and glorious legacy, the third Joker. She looked back at her father, and shrugged again, this time with a questioning look, wondering she had to continue to carry the story further. Father Wind smiled at her, then put her into a hug. He didn't resume for several minutes, but eventually he did. As he did, they slowly pulled apart, so she could look up at him again. Well, since you put it that way, I guess I have to say, is every creature there was stunned, and the attack came from out of what? The attack came from out of nowhere. A bunch of us probably thought that someone initiated that attack, including me, but I looked over at him. I saw his shocked expression and realized he had not done this. At the time, I was totally bereft. I got the fact that, unlike you by that point, I hadn't read the book Discord gave me to his conclusion. Nor did I have the benefit of or course of some other pony telling me what would happen in my future when I grew up. I was playing all of this blind at the time, so it took me a while to ascertain the truth, which eventually I had. Let me just tell you that now, I am pretty bright pony, but sometimes when too many things happen at once, something happens with no warning at all, it could catch us all off guard, enough to prevent us from solving the mystery right away. Regardless of how it happened, it happened. This might surprise you to hear, but the doctor was actually pretty upset about the outcome. He's the doctor after all. He's a hero and a healer first and foremost. He's right to save every creature, even his enemies. There wasn't much he could do back then though. The javelin attack was indeed a fatal blow, but because the master had a second heart, he lingered on for a little while. The master collapsed to his knees after a jolt. He looked down into his chest, stunned to see a crystal javelin sticking through it. This was also suspended his concentration. Discord could have easily finished him at that point, but he hadn't. Instead, Discord backed off for some reason. In midair, he slapped his eagle talon, and the rear Fluttershy suddenly appeared. Oh my goodness! Fluttershy explained as she looked around her unexpected surroundings. Where am I? 1 second I was having lovely tea with Discord, and the next I find myself here. Fluttershy was even more surprised when a bunch of her friends tackled her to hug her, in relief from multiple angles. They repeated her name several times ecstatically, which only served to confuse and concern her more. Goodness, you are all behaving so strangely. It's if you think I died or something else, just this is awful. Fluttershy studied surprise and concern, which is based on her friend's reaction. She even saw tears in their eyes. This was really off-putting for the innocent and adorable little mare. Never, ever change, Pinkie banged as she cried tears of joy on Fluttershy. That's like forever. That's like forever. Oh my! Fluttershy concerns deepened. What happened to me? What happened to all of you? Where have we? I hate to bring this team for reunion, but we do have the dark side to purge. Ottersko reminded the team for group of girls in a serious tone. He is right, my friends, Luna agreed. Let's take out this nightmare once and for all. The Doctor aimed his sonic screwdriver at the master at close range. It buzzed only for a few seconds before the master slapped it away in noise. Go away! The master barked irritably, then bent over and coughed out blood. He then seated with rage, breathing heavily but also with great difficulty. I don't need your pity. Besides, you know what will happen next. We don't have to just give up like that. Let me help you, the Doctor urged. Master lowered his head and shook it. It's too late. This life is done for. Go on then. Save the rest of your precious ponies. He spat. Don't hold back your resignation this time. The Doctor cried out his family incessantly. If you do, you will get a chance to torture me later on, and I will go on gallivanting and saving the universe without your opponent to stop me. The master laughed for just a moment, then winced in sharp pain as doing that tore him up further inside. With great strain, he muttered, Well, you drive a hard bargain. I'll think about it. Now go. Save your precious friends. It was difficult for the other members of the main six to convince Fluttershy to have the courage to summon her power enough to spark her element once she realized where she was, but her friends made a convincing argument. They knew her well and knew what was important to her. Just because the pony was easily scared did not mean she lacked the means to summon her courage. It only meant it was more difficult for her, but that was also what made her more courageous. Facing fear that was more difficult for her, but she still managed to pull it off, showed great growth in her. She went from being scared of her own shadow to facing down ultimate evil. That was such a huge leap for a pony with such emotional handicaps. Why did she do it? For her friends, of course, and for the bird that she loved. The disaster threatened her animal friends too, and if there was one thing the Fluttershy was all about, it was the care of animals. For their sake, as well as everything else that she cared for, she mustered up an amazing amount of courage. The main six initiated their attack first by singing. That helped to unite their spirits and make their attack stronger. As the song continued, a rainbow light forged the link between each of the elements' harmonious crystals that they wore. Eventually, it completed the circle, ending on a twilight tiara. When the link was complete, a brilliant ball of pulsating light issued around them as they floated off the ground. That ball grew brighter and brighter with each pulse it made. And the creature looked up at this in awe. Many of them had never seen this before, myself included. We are the elements of harmony. The Twilight has a really deep voice at this point. Twilight called out with a booming voice that filled the sky from the center of the bright glowing orb. As she spoke, the rest of her friends continued singing. And we are here to stop you. For all the evil that you have caused in this world, and for all the evil you intend to do, we are here to show you that we have the most powerful magic of all, the magic of friendship. Finally, a rainbow exploded. A rainbow beam exploded from the center of the rainbow, a glowing orb. That beam went unopposed all the way up to the giant black orb that sucked in light. At that point, however, it finally pulled back. The Dark Star had no true intelligence of its own, so it could not mimic its opponent until they pulled off the attack first. Learning from their strategy, the Dark Star countered with a dark copy of their powers. It shot back a shadow rainbow that easily pushed back the rainbow beam of the main six. Easy to the point of being almost effortless for the Dark Star. The main six had never encountered that much resistance to their ultimate power. Even against threats powerful enough to annihilate whole countrysides with a single blast, could not endure even a few seconds of the elements of harmony rainbow blast. Until now, the source of all evil magic in Equestria was apparently more than a little prepared against their attack. Compared to its full power, the attack was actually pretty feeble. It seemed the magic of friendship finally met its match. Actually, not even that. The magic of friendship wasn't even a threat to it. That was, if they were alone in this fight. Considering how powerful the magic of just the six group of friends were in every single encounter they ever faced in the past, with this type of attack, it could only get stronger if that energy was joined by their other friends. We have to all help them, Princess Cadence pretty loudly. I always assumed that was the plan, Fred called back. That's why we are all here. Our creature, please touch the crystal cage. Charge your heart and emotions into the crystal heart. When you do, I send the energy up to them. Hurry, my friends. And so we did. I assume you did too. We touched the cage and thought about all the positive feelings, then projected it into the cage. That in turn got soaked up into crystal heart, which then it projected that energy high into the air as a brilliant rainbow, which then shot to the main six and added to the strength of the rainbow beam struggle. I know it might be hard for you to imagine just how powerful the elements of harmony was by itself. Likely it was because they already drew upon all the hearts of an Equestria every time they summoned this power before. I'm not sure if summoning it in the name, summoning it in this time period made a difference in terms of strength. Maybe it did, but I can tell you that as soon as we added all our strength to that beam, it was definitely significantly stronger. The Dark Star struggled against the rainbow beam with a greater degree of effort, but it still wasn't enough. We must give it more power! Fluttershy Flurry Heart announced in that multi voice again. Think of all of your friends, think of all of your family, think of all of your loved ones, think of your home, think of your pets, think of your country. Drop out every single shred of emotion that ever caused you to care about everything in your life. Take all of that energy and pour it into the crystal heart. For all of your past mistakes, for all of your future triumphs, for all that shall be born, please, lend us your strength. Speaking for myself, I knew I sure did. In a way, my life flashed before my eyes, only it was not quite that fast. All I can think is Kylo Ren having more! I have no idea why you would say that. I remember all of my studies in my room. I remember my mother's lullaby as she sang me to sleep. I remember my meeting with my uncle as he told me about the spirit of magic. I remember the first time I saw the Wonderboards, and I had such a small idea how they would later influence my life. Yeah, we are nearly ending it, Quill. I'm sorry. There was a lot of mixing in the time period. And you were already asleep when I wrote to you. I remember galloping away from home, meeting the Orchid family, then later myself up on the cliff. As I leapt off the cliff and floated with the wind for the first time. I remember the joy I felt at that moment as I experienced true freedom for the first time. I remember meeting Duncan Du along my way back as the friendly Maid Pegasus helped me make it all the way back home. I fondly remembered my flight training sessions with Skydancer, a moment that felt like one of my own fictional characters sprung to life and helped me to achieve my own destiny. I remember the time your mom and I were trapped in a cave by a rainstorm outside, and we confessed our feelings to each other for the first time. I remember your mother's games as puffball and how I cheered her on. We don't. I remember the time I went back to the Orchid family and saved them from goblin attack, and saved their only daughter from burning home, or rather tried to, but I ended up getting saved myself by the Wonderpots, which in turn inspired me to join them in the hopes of also becoming a hero. Yeah, that's true. I remember the Orchid's family heroism, as they refused to let their spirits down by reminding each other they would endure, as long as they had each other and their love. I remember my first meeting with Princess Celestia, as she told me about one of the threats in this world. She was so majestic, but I also learned how much an ordinary pony she was deep down, and felt sympathy for her loneliness. I remember training with the Wonderbots, and how they helped me to improve my flight skills to levels far beyond anything I had ever achieved before. I remember leaving to connect with nature on a deeper level, and realized for the first time it wasn't just the wind I could access, but all the weather. I remember the peace I felt with that connection as I learned who I truly was. I remember my first meeting with the quirky doctor and his adorable assistant, and I remember meeting Vision for the first time, and how innocent she was back then. Innocent, but wise, far beyond her age. I remember meeting with the Crystal Sage for the first time, and the deal we made ever since. Not only I gained a new friend and mentor at that time, but I felt my destiny gain a greater sense of importance because of a promise I gave to him. I remember my many adventures in the TARDIS with the Doctor and his companions. Not only did we perform an important heroic deeds, so many creatures we met throughout the universe, but it also helped to solidify my bond with my new extended family. I remember the first time I came to this timeline and helped to rescue the whole village. I remember learning about the existence of the Dark Star as well as the remarkable origins of magic. I remember all my adventures in this timeline, as I helped to build up a brand new society and forge tight bonds of friendship with ponies and creatures that would help shape the future of this entire world, largely for the better. I remember the time the Doctor came back with a flood of new friends I may have seen distantly in some cases, but got to know them better for the first time. I remember the bonds we shared, a harrowing journey together as we marched up north and continued to get to know each other better. The stories we treated with each other, as well as the ones we were forging together, only made the entire journey feel worth it. I remember the stories my friends told me about their struggle, when they got separated by the Volcanic Blast and their conflict with Fang. Every creature showed their true colors, doing it better, for ill, but mostly for good. It was a battle that proved how strong we all are, and it also united us with the crystal carriage, which proved instrumental at that very moment. Finally, I remember this fight, and everything it had that was transpired. I remember how every creature set aside all their differences and poured their hearts and souls into this project, in desperate hope to create a better world. And that was where we stood. All of those feelings, all of those emotions poured out of me. And I also thought about the adventures I probably would have in the future. By that point, I already knew my future daughter's name, as well as the fact that I would one day tell my story. But beyond that, I look forward to all the things the book hadn't talked about, such as your first words, your first call, your first flight. I thought about all the places I looked forward to showing you. I thought about all the friends I was eager to introduce to you. This too was among my emotions I poured into Crystal. I truly gave this my all. There was simply not any more I could give. Past, present, and future all came down together in that moment. All of those memories and experiences and emotions and hopes and dreams flooded through me and into the crystal. The journey strengthened me in ways I never thought possible when I was a young fool. And in that moment, I found myself so grateful for my life. I love my life. And I celebrated it. And this too, I poured it into the crystal. Everything. All of my heart and soul. And that didn't take right? Starbase checked. We are all still here, so I can't assume you failed your mission. No, my sweet. It did not do the thing. I will say it helped. A rainbow beam pushed back the shadow beam all the way to the Dark Star, but there it held itself in one final desperate effort. I don't know about every other creature, but I sure gave this my all. I poured out my maximum effort, and we discovered to our horror that it was still not enough. The Dark Star was extremely powerful, more powerful than anything we had ever met. At least our efforts seemed to strain its strength, but it was not enough to pour it over the edge. We needed something more. We needed a miracle. You know what the miracle would be? The master actually helping. Because now I realize that you mentioned a lot of times that Quill actually looked around and checked that Cartilla was not giving his emotions. More! Then suddenly I felt a familiar pulse. I kept my hopes on the crystal carriage, and I also turned my head to see what was that. And there I beheld yet another plot twist of the day. The Master. It turns out he was from Derpy and the Doctor's universe, one in which ponies all had built-in pockets on their flanks. With his dying breath, he pulled out from his pocket the real red crystal. It turned out the one he used before to suck in all the magic. All my magic was a fake, temporary copy. Wait. It turned out that the one he used before to suck in all my magic was a fake temporary copy of the red crystal. But the real red crystal he had in his pocket ever since he attacked me. He pulled out his own trump card at that moment. Then he used that crystal somehow to pull forth a great deal of positive energy I collected in that crystal up to that time. In hindsight, I later realized that the only way he could have done that was for him to draw upon his own love. I have no doubt he was thinking about his daughter at that moment. We found the pocket ponies, the one where Twilight was the assistant? I don't know. The positive feeling spot out of the red crystal and created a safe zone similar to what the crystal heart could do, except the barrier was much smaller. It was enough, however, to accomplish something that the Doctor planned many years ago. In a small safe zone, the Darkstar temporarily had no influence, despite the clone proximity to the heart of the world's corruption. He also did it in a very specific time and very specific place. Once the safe zone was created, the TARDIS itself appeared shortly. It turned out the Doctor programmed the TARDIS to appear at a certain time and place, but a path had to be created for it first, in order to allow it to appear on the battlefield. The energy projected from the red crystal gave it the means to appear at that exact moment. The TARDIS appeared around the Master, which made him in turn disappear inside of it. A short while later he opened the TARDIS doors, then he collapsed to the side. Behind him, one of the consoles of the TARDIS was torn off somehow, and leaking from that was the heart of the TARDIS. The TARDIS poured out energy, which was directed at the main six. The TARDIS protected the hearts and feelings of all creatures on this planet throughout all time. Every positive feeling that ever will or had already happened from the infinite number of souls joined our spirit stream. While the Darkstar put up a good fight, it could not match truly infinite power. It's a spirit bomb! Our rainbow beam finally collided with the Darkstar sphere. From there, it spread cracks all through the sphere, from which rainbow light poured out. The cracks kept spreading, until there was more light than darkness. Then after that, the all became pure rainbow light, until our attacks finally relented. That was it. The Darkstar was banished from our world, into the Shadow world, into the Shadow realm, where it has existed ever since, connected to our world, close enough to influence it, but also too distant to directly destroy it. I imagine its existence is likened to dangling a juicy steak in front of a hungry dog, but forever holding it back from actually taking a bite. On occasion, however, there would be a few dark souls who willingly called upon the power of the Darkstar, knowingly or not. From that point on, it was through them that the remaining influences of the Darkstar was felt the most in our world's history. As for my friends and all, as for my friends and I, it was finally time to have a happily ever after, at least when it came to that particular chapter in our lives. The end. That's actually this point would actually be a good stopping point. And I have no idea who put a dislike here. By the way, this story got a new upvote yesterday. Well, congratulations, I have no idea who is disliking you. But yeah, you missed most of it. I'm sorry about that. That's my fault. Boo! Oh, it was a year ago. Okay. But yeah, I like this chapter. I like this chapter really well. This is, let's just say it's an amazing chapter. It's one of the best. You don't know why. It just means there are always trolls on the internet. And they are just going around dislike, probably not even reading it. If there is no comment about why they disliked, I just you can just count it. But Quill, I'm not saying anything. That was a little visible, too visible of a trick. That, oh no, Pharynx is missing, right? I don't know where he is. But the double up was a nice trick, by the way. That it was not Pharynx actually. Believe me, I will go back and view the rest of this video right after this. Then you will see that I am actually really tired and I had trouble with the voices. Obviously. I even heard myself that it was horrible. But I have to say, my favorite part is the master's monologue. When the master and the doctor are meeting. That's my favorite part of this. Most of it was actually turned out how I thought it would, and that's not a bad thing. But yeah, sadly the master is still. So you weren't surprised that they have a plan all along? No. I told you in the last chapter. I remember correctly. I said something like, you either made the doctor a dump, and I'm gonna be angry about you about that, or he does have a plan, and they are playing the fool for everyone. And you redeemed yourself that he actually had a plan. I was kinda angry at you when you were portraying him as the fool who is not just playing the fool. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that. I didn't read it. That's gonna be something that is gonna be later. I'm not exactly sure. Obviously, the master has no reason not to make this world to live happily ever after. Because obviously, if they don't destroy the Dark Star, he knows that everything will be just nothingness. It will be a dark nothing on the planet, and it would probably go out in other planets as well after consuming the Twilight Star. He knows that. We all know that. Then again, this all might have been the plan on of the master. I remember you saying something like, I'm doing this for my daughter. Do you think he had a change of heart? No. This, even him dying, was a part of his plan. He didn't know how but he knew that the Doctor still had the Joker, and he knew about the Joker. He didn't know about Fangs. He was surprised about that. He basically knew the resolution of this. Again, as the Doctor said, you have to fool not just your enemies, but your friends as well. Who was the friends of the Master? The Darkstar. Taking the red crystal, using a fake to basically show the Darkstar that, hey, I have taken the crystal, I have the power, and you don't have to fear anything. And then, for some stupid reason, the crystal broke. The Darkstar actually thought that the crystal is not gonna be used against it anymore. Because that was the only thing that could create the pure defense area. But the thing is, that the only strange thing is that the TARDIS was actually programmed beforehand to come here. The question is, who programmed it? Was it the Master or was it the Doctor? Have any opinions about this chapter? Or to tell me now? That won't be in your reaction earlier? In the end, the TARDIS had too. Yes, all hail the almighty TARDIS. The TARDIS was the catalyst to the spirit bomb, basically. And I was sure that Starbreeze was in that as well. There was no reason for her not to be there. You know it can do that. Throughout time and space. Yep. I know. Also, they might be stuck on that planet for a while, but they don't care. But yeah, this, as I said, this was a pretty nice chapter. I might even think it's one of my favorites. I'm not sure if it's my favorite right now, but there's a safe zone for the TARDIS to use where it was summoned. That's true. And for some reason, there are still 1, 2, 3, 4 chapters and 1 prologue. Why did I want to say prologue? Obviously, the summarization is gonna be there, them going home. But what else? It can be done in 1 chapter. This chapter is supposed to be major climax of the second act. The one that started since chapter 14, when they met the Doctor. And believe me, it's a good climax. it's a good climax chapter, and the ending is just perfect at that point. And I can see that the next chapter is gonna be farewell. That makes sense. But yeah, I think now I'm gonna end it really soon. I'm gonna have something to eat and I'm gonna go to sleep because I am super tired. My work day was horrible. Predictions for that chapter might be obvious, so I'm not even gonna pretend that they go home. They might meet later on. So, your opinion on reading my story? That is gonna happen. But not now. As I said, even without the prologue that you sent me, I want to read it. Let me see this. It will just take time. As I said, it's already on the list that we are gonna do that. But I have to ask you before I leave right now. So, should I read this prologue? Or what? This prologue story? Before starting Desperados? Yay, Quill! Finish the chapter! Finish the last chapter! This takes place a few weeks before. Okay, that makes sense. So I say, yeah. It's not important, but it helps to set up the area. We can probably do a double prologue when we get to that. But as I said, when I finish Featherwind, I want to say Skylancer, but it's Featherwind, the first flying unicorn. Then I have another reading, but that's gonna be a short one. And then we are gonna start Desperados. If that's okay with you. Because the other thing that is on queue right now after Skylancer is Fluttershy's Bad Hair Day. And it is only an 8 chapter plus ending little reading. Capone time! I didn't think this through, that if they are gonna speak in Capone language or tone, I might be in trouble. Because as you know, I'm not good with countryisms. But we will see. Not too many. No, pirate speak. Ah. That makes sense. Okay. But again, now I'm gonna leave. See you next time, I guess. I should tell you that on Wednesday I will not be able to do this because we moved the stream that was supposed to be today to Wednesday. That's why we actually switched places for the two. So on Thursday is gonna be the next chapter for this. Let's hear you imitate pirate speak. I'm not good at that either. No streaming. No streaming today. It's gonna be only tomorrow. At the same time as this. But now I'm almost falling asleep. It's really hard to read as it is. That didn't feel right. Good night everyone. See you later. Bye bye.